What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out the latest and greatest robot vacuum and mop from Ecovacs. What we have here today is called the Ecovacs Deebot X9 Pro. Now on my desk here you're only seeing the actual robot vacuum itself, but of course in the box you're also gonna get the Omni Station. However, that is a bit too big to have on my desk here. So I'm just gonna show you some B-roll with the Omni Station. Basically in the Omni Station the robot vacuum will go and empty the dustbin, will wash that mop, will dry that mop and so on. We'll talk more about the Omni Station later on in the video. Now, a few months back, I've also made a video for the Ecovacs Deebot X8 Pro, and at that time, that was the best robot vacuum that Ecovacs was making. Well, now we have the Ecovacs Deebot X9 Pro, so this one here, and this one basically brings all the awesome features that we had in the X8 Pro, plus a few extras, so this one gets smarter and much better. Before we go any further, I also want to mention that this video is sponsored by Ecovacs. Alright, so this robot vacuum here gets one of the best mopping systems available on the market. So basically at the bottom here we have the Osmo roller mop. So basically every time this roller mop spins, it gets cleaned inside the robot vacuum. So if there is a mess on your floor, if you spill something or anything like that, all that will actually stay inside the robot vacuum. It's not gonna get spread throughout your floor like would happen with a more typical robot vacuum that has those two spinning mop brushes at the bottom. So all the dirt stays inside here. Now, most robot vacuums available on the market have either one side brush or two side brushes, depending on the make and model. But what happens when they go over some spilled coffee or some spilled milk or anything that's spilled on the floor? Well, those brushes spin in that mess, so they kind of spread that mess around. Well, our Ecovacs Deebot X9 Pro does things very differently, and this is in fact the first robot vacuum that I've seen doing that. So it will see that there is like a spill on the floor, and it will do something very different. So it's gonna stop spinning this side brush, it will actually lift that brush, and it will do the same with the main brush at the bottom here. So this way, these two brushes aren't gonna spill that wet mess all over your floor. So only the mop will actually go over that mess. Now, I filmed some footage earlier today or yesterday where I had some coffee spilled on the floor, and you can clearly see how the robot vacuum detects that spill on the floor. Not to mention, it will go back over the same area multiple times. It will also go back and wash the mop. I think it does it 2 or 3 times. It basically senses when the floor is clean. So whenever the floor is clean, that's when it's gonna stop cleaning. But if there is like a sticky mess, it's basically gonna go over the same area multiple times. And all that time, the side brush here and our main brush here will not be touching that. So it's not gonna spread that throughout your floors. So this is where this vacuum gets really smart. It doesn't spread that mess, so it has to clean more afterwards. So very, very smart, and I wish more vacuums would actually have this feature where this brush here stops and lifts, and the same for the one at the bottom. And of course, as we've seen in the past with previous Ecovacs models, there is more to that Osmo roller mop washing. So that one can also extend, so it can come out of the robot vacuum and it can basically reach the edge of the wall. So with this robot vacuum, you're not gonna have that space that never gets cleaned because the mop can actually go right on the edge of the wall. So around furniture, around everywhere, basically the mop will be able to reach. And of course, that mop also puts pressure onto your floor. Now, depending what the robot finds on its cleaning cycle, it will also wash that mop with hot water. And the temperature of the hot water will depend on what the robot was cleaning. And of course, when you combine that with the AI stain detection, you know that all the floors are gonna be very, very clean. Because if the robot finds a stain that's a bit sticky, it will go over the same area multiple times. It will go back to the docking station, it will wash that mop, it will rewash that floor, so you can be certain that your floor will be extremely clean. Next, we are moving on to vacuuming because, of course, vacuuming is also a very important part of any robot vacuum. So as I've showed you before, when this goes over a wet spill, for example, it will lift up the side brush and the main brush at the bottom. Well, when the robot vacuum goes over carpet, of course, it will lift up the roller mop, so the roller mop will not be touching your carpet. This robot vacuum also features the blast airflow technology, and this delivers 16,600 Pascal suction power. So a lot of suction power, and it doesn't really matter what the robot vacuum goes over. If it's running over thicker carpets, if it's running over hard floors, it will pick up anything from any surface because there is a lot of suction power. The X9 Pro here also features what the manufacturer calls Zero Tangle 3.0, and that means that the side brush and the main brush here will not catch hair on it. So if hair gets stuck on them, the hair basically gets off and it gets sucked inside the robot vacuum. So the robot actually has been cleaning my house for about 2 weeks now, and as you can see for yourself, there is absolutely no hair on this brush. And I actually have a lot of hair here at home because, well, Laura has fairly long hair. Talking about the dustbin, well, the dustbin is located here at the top, so this cover gets removed, and this is our dustbin. This also has a filter, so every so often you may have to change or clean that filter. But basically that's your dustbin, and all the dust and stuff that's inside here gets emptied in our Omni Station. Since this robot doesn't have the LiDAR navigation system at the top as we've seen with other robots, it's also not that thick. So the LiDAR is actually just down here, just below the 3D vision sensors. So the robot knows how to map your entire house. It knows to identify objects throughout the house. It also knows how to avoid obstacles. So if you do leave something on the floor, if you leave some shoes, if you leave some cables, basically anything that you're gonna leave, the vacuum knows how to navigate all around that. And of course, it will also map out your entire house. It knows exactly where its base station is. It knows how to identify what floors there are throughout the house. So it knows what everything around it is. But what I was trying to say, because we don't have that LiDAR navigation system right here at the top, the vacuum is not that thick either. So this has a height of 98 millimeters. So it can easily go under your couch, under your bed, well, depending what couch you have, what bed you have, but it's basically not as thick as, or tall, let's call it, as other robots available on the market. And at the same time, it's also very smart and knows everything around it. It knows where it has to go, it knows where it hasn't been, and all that. In order to control the robot, you have a few options. So you have a button right here at the top. You could press that and the vacuum will start cleaning. You can open the app and you can start the cleaning cycle from the app. Now, from the app there, you can basically customize anything about the robot. You can set do not go zones. So let's say that you don't want the robot to go in half of a room. Well, you can set a do not go zone. You want the robot to start cleaning on a schedule. You can set schedules. Basically, everything is customizable. The suction power, the wetness level of the roller mop, everything is customizable from the Ecovacs app. And you can also control this without touching the robot and without touching the app. So this also supports voice commands. And I guess I'm going to show you a couple of examples of some voice commands that you could tell the robot. So let's play that. Okay, Eco. Go vacuum the kitchen.
Okay, the area will be vacuumed now.
Okay, Eco.
I'm listening.
Return to station.
Okay, back to station.
And as you've seen for yourself, the Eco GPT voice assistant does work very, very well, and the vacuum really understands what you're saying. So you want to send it home, you can easily send it home. You want the vacuum to do just one room, you can just tell him and it will do that room. So that works very well. Now I want to touch on the Omni Station briefly. So at the top we basically have two water tanks. One is for clean water, you're going to have to fill that up with clean water, and one is the dirty water. So the dirty water basically gets collected from the roller mop inside the vacuum, and then the vacuum goes back to the station and it will empty that dirty water in there. The mop tray is also maintenance free up to 150 days. So that means that you're not going to have to constantly remove that mop tray and wash it. Just next to that dust bag in the Omni Station, we also have a container for cleaning solution. Unfortunately, I haven't got a cleaning solution. I kind of wish I would have had, but I don't have it. So I didn't get the chance to try out the cleaning solution, but there is a spot for a cleaning solution there as well. As I mentioned earlier, the Omni Station will also dry the roller mop once the vacuum is done a cleaning cycle. I believe it uses 63 degrees hot air, and it will also wash the roller mop with hot water depending on the situation, so that water can be somewhere between 40 to 75 degrees depending on the situation. And as you've seen throughout this video, this vacuum basically has it all. When it needs to vacuum something, it has plenty of suction power to pick up anything from the floor. The roller mop does the best washing you can get. This doesn't even compare to those two spinning brushes at the bottom that you find on most vacuums. Unfortunately, those just spread the dirt throughout your house. Well, that is not the case with this one. This one actually gets all that dirt and keeps it inside the robot vacuum. And of course, that's better than just spreading everything around. And the feature that I really like is the fact that this side brush and the brush at the bottom here move up whenever this finds a spill on the floor. That is very important because every vacuum that I've tried, they basically go and vacuum that mess. The side brush kind of moves that around. Well, that is not the case with this one anymore. So I am looking forward to seeing this feature being copied by all the other brands because, well, it is tiring seeing that brush just making a mess everywhere. So if you're looking for a flagship robot vacuum, one that does it all and does it really good as well, definitely consider the Ecovacs Deebot X9 Pro here. Once again, thanks Ecovacs for sponsoring this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave some comments down below and I'll try to answer whatever questions you may have. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.